Hey everybody, Tim Brahim with Performance Experts Coaching and Leadership 360 with another business and life tip for you. And today I have a friend and a very special guest, one of the top producers in the country. Steve Grossman's been in the mortgage business for 26 years. Last year, he funded 315 loans for approximately $160 million in production. He's an owner of NJ Lenders as well as the top producer at the company, or one of the top producers. And it's really, really great to have you, Steve. Thanks for joining us, brother.
You're welcome. Anytime, Tim.
So, Steve, anybody in the L360 family who knows you not only loves you, but also knows that you are probably the best relationship guy that we've ever met. Really a master networker and somebody who just does an absolutely masterful job in nurturing his past client database. So I think what would be really interesting to hear would be maybe your top 3 tips, philosophies on how to stay in contact with your past clients to ensure that you get repeat customer business and a lot of referrals, because I know so much of your business comes via referral.
Sure. So the first thing is when you mentioned about the relationships. So when I speak to a client, I try to understand the transaction, what their needs are really quickly. What I also try to do is come up with a common bond. I try to develop a relationship. And one of the things, which is partially through my CRM and partially through my memory, is really some facts about the people. Because if you speak to them on a later conversation, or if you speak to them many years down the road and you just have to remember maybe what college they went to or what interests they have, it really develops a very tight bond between the person, and it takes away the whole transaction out of it and it builds a relationship. So that's the first thing I do. And as far as, I'm sorry, Tim, the question you had, I apologize.
That's okay. What are 2 to 3 things that you feel are important for the viewers to understand as it relates to maintaining a long-term relationship and managing a database?
Sure. The first thing is you have to have a CRM. I speak to a number of loan officers throughout the country, and I'm shocked on how few that have them. But what I do recognize is the majority of the top producers in the country utilize a CRM. It's irrelevant on which CRM you use, you just have to use one. The first thing in using the CRM, and this is just learned through trial by error, if you could have a connectivity to the LOS, it's the best thing to do. This way, the data gets inputted once and the accuracy of the data is there. Another tip is that you have to look at your CRM every day. As you know, Tim has taught me, you have to kind of enter your life with a purpose. You enter your day with a purpose. The first thing I do is I turn on my CRM and I see, okay, who do I have to call? What do I have to talk about? I think it's very embarrassing when we take 10, 15 minutes of a person's time. We have to respect their time. We ask them questions, and loan officers may a month or 2 or 3 months later say, what do you make again? Or, how do you have much in the bank? Or you have to sell your house? So part of the CRM is keeping notes on the people. And when I come in every morning, I look, who do I have to call? What do I have to talk to them about? What did I talk to them about the last time? And depending on the results of that call, it will then dictate the next time I'm going to speak to them. In addition, with the CRM, you want to have your typical drip campaigns. You also want to make sure that all CRMs have a good post-closing marketing campaign. Some are better than others, but I think the best thing on a CRM is to make sure that you have a place every day to house your leads, and it increases your conversion on your leads by you constantly staying on top of them. And you just really don't, to me, I feel the hardest thing is to make the phone ring, Tim. And if you can make the phone ring, the next thing is to make sure you close it. A lot of loan officers, I don't know the statistics, but it's something like, one loan officer may return the first phone call. They may not, 80% of them will, 60% may call them the second time, and 40% third time, and so on and so forth. So I've had clients where I've called. I had one guy recently, and I could track it. I called him 27 times and stayed in touch with him 27 times over a 2-year period of time. I ended up losing the loan. And I lost the loan because, shame on me, I didn't know a guideline and a competitor of mine did. Well, I learned the lesson. However, he was impressed with the fact that I stayed in touch with him. I also did a very good presentation through the mortgage coach. But when he went to buy an investment property, he came back to me and ended up closing that loan.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I'm going to ask you another question. I'm going to ask it, but hold on your answer. and I'm going to synthesize a couple of things. So prepare yourself for the answer to this question. How frequently do you send stuff out to your past client database? And give us an example of a couple of things that you send. But before you do, let me just pull some needles out of the haystack of everything Steve said there. Number one, use your CRM as the driving force behind what you are supposed to do every day. I mean, it makes so much sense, but how many loan officers out there really don't dial for dollars enough? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you get paid to do, is talk to people who need to borrow money. And your CRM, if you're keeping it up, is going to tell you, oh, don't forget about this person. Here's the list of people you need to call. And that second piece is so important, man, which is, not forgetting the conversations that you've had in the past. You don't want to have Alzheimer's conversations with your clients. That's no way to impress them and have them feeling like they're special in your eyes. So take good notes and stay in touch with those people on a consistent basis. So the next question I'd ask before the final question is just, how frequently do you stay in touch with your past clients? And what are a couple of things that you send out that you think are particularly impactful?
Well, just going to address one thing, Tim, is that one of the other things you have to do is, I look at loan officers that still use like loosely notepads or books, composite pads that you would get when you're in the 6th grade. And I laugh at them. I said, what happens if you lose your pad? Or people will say, well, I keep it wherever in my phone. What happens if you lose your phone? So it's good to make sure you have a database that every day you know where your stuff is. And I always say to people 2 things. I'm on Gilligan's Island, for those people who don't know what that is I have 2 choices. One is my CRM, one is my cell phone. Assuming I have a landline. I'm like, you could keep my cell phone because my CRM is really what I need. I don't need a cell phone because I have a landline. So it's really important to have one. One of the things I said to him, what do I do? The first thing I do is, from a gifting perspective, is we not just give post-closing, we give prior to closing. We'll go ahead and sometimes send out an intro gift just on a lead, whether it's just one of those environmentally friendly shopping bags. What we also do is, during the process, we'll send out a tape gun, because we feel on a purchase, all people are going to packing. On a refinance today, everybody with Amazon and getting stuff delivered, people always have to pack boxes. So we have a really nice tape gun that we send that has NJ Lenders tape on it. So we do little stuff like that. Post-closing, we always want to send a thoughtful gift. We want to send a gift that, I don't want to do anything as syntax related. It's not going to be anything alcohol, cigars, anything like that. It's always going to be family oriented. It's going to have legs and people use it, whether it's an umbrella, a flashlight, a cooler, a soccer chair, something along those lines. And then what we've done in the past is we will send a gift once a year to the people, and it tends to be maybe household kitchen items, potato chip clip, a rubber thing to open up a jar, a little bottle opener, things like that. But our success has really been on a post-closing gift, where we'll get pictures of somebody at a town pool and say, hey, look what I have is your calendar, or, I'm on the beach, here's your beach blanket. So we always try to give gifts with purpose. And then what we'll do is, a couple times a year to our referral partners, is even if people just refer me a loan every 3 years, I'll blast out a few hundred gifts, and this gift tends to be under maybe $15 or $20. The one I'm going to do this year, we're in the Northeast, and we're going to send it out at the end of November. It's going to be like an ice scraper, because most people around here, it will snow and they'll need to scrape their car, but I may blast out 200-300 of those. So it's just always, we'll do stuff like that once or twice a year to our referral partners. And then we always make sure that we do things to our prior clients.
Key thing that he said there, folks, is that he sends out things that are useful and that people will continue to use over and over again, because every time they're using them, Steve's buying brain cells. They're reminded of him. He's top of mind consciousness. This is what keeps people coming back. First time that they have somebody that comes across their radar that needs to borrow money, they think of Steve. Steve, thanks so much. One final question for you. So you've been in the L360 family for about 3.5 years now. What would you say to those that are interested in applying, and what's some of the value that you've gleaned from being a part of this program?
Well, the first thing is that in any profession you do, you have to constantly better yourself. You have to get constantly educated, and you have to surround yourself with, smarter, brighter people that know what's going on. A lot of things that I've got from, whether it's a personal level or from setting goals, learning how to accomplish goals, also surrounding myself with some of the top people in the industry that I constantly learn from. So whether it's the 2 or 3 meetings we do a year or the great informational emails we go back and forth, I have a network of people that I constantly learn from. In addition, we all have certain goals and plans. And a lot of times we set goals. Everybody sets a goal January 1st, they're going to the gym. And of course, by February 1st, they stop going to the gym. But I learned how to kind of identify goals. I also personally identified some of my strengths and my weaknesses. I've learned how to hire around my weaknesses, but it's also allowed to identify really what I want to do, break down how am I going to do it, who's going to do it. And I'll give you something simple. I'm going to show you a pad. This is handwritten. Tim's going to laugh at me because I should be doing electronic. This is something that I learned through the group just on time management. And it's really helps me clutter my mind every day. But this little trick that I learned through L360, I have this is my personal stuff, my business stuff, things about running my own company, things with my children. It just allows me to have much more of a productive day and allows my brain to just work so much better. So I've learned so many great tidbits, surrounding myself with some of the top loan officers in the country. And a combination of all this, along with some of the, personal health issues, some of the personal health things that I've addressed to get healthier and better shape. These are all things that I learned through L360. I didn't do these things before I met Tim, and now I do.
Cool. I'm glad that we've had that kind of an impact on you. And just to clarify something, because I think you may have misspoken, I don't want anybody to be confused. You said that you held up the legal pad and you said that I use this to clutter my mind. And I think you meant unclutter your mind,
yeah.
Which was a time management strategy, which is to do a mind sweep at the beginning of every day and get out of your head and onto some type of mechanism like a legal pad or an electronic organizer, all those things that you have to do.
I'll eventually get there electronically, Tim. I'm not there, but at least you got me.
As long as it's out of your head, brother, that's all that I care about, man. I just want you to be as creative as possible. Steve, thanks a lot, man, for taking the time to add so much value. And thank you to everybody who took the time to watch this video. We'll be back at you next week with another business and life tip. And I hope everybody has a really beautiful week. Bye-bye, everyone.